आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, sensational details about what's going on inside Air India. You won't believe the information we've got. And at 9 o'clock tonight, will the Muslim world stand with Iran if Trump bombs it at a different level? And ladies and gentlemen, what is the responsibility of a media group at a time like this? When 270, 80, maybe 300 people have died because the death toll could be much higher, in effect. What is the responsibility of a news media group? Is it to become a PR extension of the company that is being asked questions, which is Air India, in other words, the Tatas? Or is it the responsibility of the media group to ask questions of the people? Now, I would not be surprised if the PR machinery of Air India or the Tatas goes overactive over the next few days. But the truth cannot be concealed. What Mr. Chandrasekharan of Tata Sons must answer, and I'm taking his name specifically, Mr. Chandrasekharan, what you must check is how many snags had been there in Air India flight 171, which crashed on June 12th. Specifically, Mr. Chandrasekharan, eventually the man in charge, must tell the nation, because the nation wants to know, Mr. Chandrasekharan, how many snags were reported on the flight that crashed between May 2nd and June 6th, 2025. Tell us, Mr. Chandrasekharan, make a public disclosure of this. We would love to know. We would love to know whether it was 1 snag, 2 snags, 10 snags, 15 snags, 20 snags, or Mr. Chandrasekharan. We would like to know whether there were 29 snags. It's only a question. Don't get too worked up, Mr. Chandrasekharan. Just tell us, and we will report how many snags you had on the plane that crashed. The other question is now to the DGCA. To the DGCA, the real question must be asked is, do they get any favors from Air India? Is it true that Air India very generously gives them extra luggage? Is it true, for example, I'm only asking a question, the Minister of Civil Aviation must answer, whether anybody from his office sought 50 kilograms of extra luggage free from Air India and whether it was given? We must know this. We are only asking questions. These are only questions. These are not accusations. But is there a system of favors, small or big, between DGCA and Air India? Can both of them tell us that? Thirdly, Air India, the PR machinery of Air India must ask whether it is true, as the Wall Street Journal has reported, that there is a possibility that the emergency power generator was operating when the plane crashed, and whether this raises questions about whether the engines were functioning properly. Why was the ram air turbine, or RAT, which is like a backup generator, working? Was it working? In what circumstances did the RAT get deployed? Is it true that the RAT gets deployed when there are hydraulic system failures, when there are cockpit instruments losing power, or when there are electric motor pumps that become dysfunctional? Ladies and gentlemen, Air India must get serious. And the media must get serious with Air India. I know that A lot of PR work is happening. But I do not understand the DGCA in this country. I don't understand the central government sometimes. 66 Air India planes have been cancelled in a period June 12th to June 17th. And what is called a review of the operations of Air India and Air India Express, the press release, the statement, is essentially giving Air India a clean sheet, saying we're going to put you under a little bit more supervision. But that's all. This increases the suspicion that the DGCA is historically and will continue to be in the future also soft towards Air India. But, Mr. Chandrasekaran of Tata Sons, please tell us how many failure messages were there related to this aircraft? Were there any? If I were to ask you, and you're welcome to come on my show, but I won't give you a free run, I would just like to know how many incidents were on the plane, which is nomenclatured VT/A and B. Is this the plane which crashed? I don't know. Tell us. Is this the Dreamliner that crashed, Mr. Chandrasekaran? And how many incidents were there on that plane? Big or small? Were there 1, 5, 6, none, or 29? Or 29? Air India and Mr. Chandrasekaran, the nation doesn't just want to know, the nation will know. We want to know. Please tell us. Let's debate.
Delhi to Dubai. AI 996 Air India flight with over 200 passengers on board cancelled after reported technical snag midway. Air India 2491 Mumbai to Lucknow cancelled after boarding passengers twice and deboarding. Lack of crew causes unrest and aircraft damage. Since the fateful day of Air India AI 171 crash in Ahmedabad, 83 Air India flights have been cancelled, 66 out of them Dreamliners. At least 10 such incidents within the last 72 hours, nearly 66 in the last 6 days. Top sources tell Republic that the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has asked Air India to cut down their flight operations by 30%.
After DGCA, the regulatory body has summoned Air India and Air India Express officials yesterday to appear in front of them. Finally, a prompt strict action has been taken against Air India, where the DGCA has asked Air India to reduce their flight operation by 30%.
The only victim? Passengers.
They are at the gate. They are not boarded. They are cheating us.
पागल समझना पड़ेगा यार। 5 दिन पहले तुम्हारा एक एयरक्राफ्ट गिर जाता है, कल तुम्हारे सेम एयरक्राफ्ट में इशू आता है, तुम्हें लगता है वैसे ही बोर्ड कर लेंगे इसको? और अभी तुम बोर्ड कराओगे भी तो कोई फायदा है नहीं। आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू हैव फायदा एट नो साइड। स्टार्ट हो गया सर।
टेक्निकल का आप 3 घंटे से टेक्निकल और पायलट की पत्थर ठोक रहे हो।
2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। हम मैसेज भी करते तो इतना होल्ड होता है, हमको 15-15 मिनट होल्ड रखना पड़ता है और हमको सामने से भी अच्छा कोई रिस्पांस नहीं आता है एयर इंडिया में से। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं है।
हम इधर आए तो बता रहे थे कि फ्लाइट है वो डिले हुई है 3 आवर्स। सो हमको 1 PM की जगह 3 PM का टाइम दिया और अभी जब टाइम बोर्डिंग का आया, अंदर जाने का है, चेक इन का टाइम आया तो वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि अब फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई है। सो वो लोग अच्छे से रिफंड का भी आंसर नहीं दे रहे हैं। हम लोग कॉल सेंटर में बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ भी कोई भी कॉल रिसीव नहीं कर रहा है।
Each and every person is giving a different reply. One is saying that there is some technical issue. The second one is saying that there is a delay in the flight to reach here from Delhi to Ahmedabad. Therefore, today takeoff is not possible, and other reasons are being stated which are not plausible.
From New Delhi to Dubai, from Mumbai to Lucknow, Air India's flight map is dotted with breakdowns. And the only ones paying the price are the passengers.
आप बताओ कि ये पायलट है उड़ाने वाला बस।
And ladies and gentlemen, what is the responsibility of a media at a time like this? The responsibility of the media is to ask questions. The responsibility of the media is not to provide a platform. We have asked questions and Shawan is with us tonight. Captain Vipul Saxena is with us, former defense pilot and aeronautical engineer. Group Captain Augustine Vinod. He's been a former fighter pilot. Group Captain GP Bajpai, former flight safety consultant with Air India. Subhash Goyal, Chairman of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Aviation and Tourism Committee, Captain Amit Singh, former Boeing 777 and Airbus A320 aircraft pilot. We have with us Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, needs no introduction, and Sanjay Lazar, Air India veteran aviation expert. Now, viewers, let's put a few things in context. We got some information and we asked Air India to confirm the information. Right. Now, we asked them whether there were recurring snags in the VT-ANB operating AI-171 that crashed on June 12th. Now, we wanted to know how many snags were reported in this specific plane between May 2nd and June 6, 2025. We wanted line maintenance activity logs between May 13th and June 12, 2025, right? And we asked whether it was true that this specific plane experienced issues related to the auto brake system on multiple occasions, specifically May 6th, May 13th, May 15th, and May 18th, 2025. We also asked whether there had been 1, 2, 3, or 29 separate snags between May 2nd and June 6, 2025 for the aircraft VT-ANB operating AI-171. Now, Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, 29 separate snags, big or small, right? In a period that is roughly about 1 month and 4 days. So if there are 29 snags, big or small, reported in, say, a 35-day period, it's not a small matter, is it? I'm just asking. You are the man who knows. Air Vice Marshal, is it a small matter? Would it be a small matter? 29 separate snags, big or small?
Arnab, thanks for this debate. Arnab, thanks for the debate, because it's a very horrific incident and we need to look at all the dimensions. And let me tell you that aircraft being a system of systems, where we talk about all kinds of systems, avionics, electronics, computers, hydraulics, engine, fuel system, engine, and that to this aircraft being completely digitally controlled, fly by wire.
No.
If 29 snags, if they are categorized as some kind of, let me complete Arnav, some kind of minor snags, because we have, if they are not engine related and they are not fuel system related, then we need to look at them at what snags they were. And let me also inform the audience through you that all repeat snags are taken with a different kind of scrutiny.
So what you're saying, one second, Air Vice Marshal, you're saying tonight that whether there are 1, 2, 15 or 29 is not a big deal. Air India says, and Shawan will tell us what Air India says. See, we are only asking a question here. Right, Shawan, we are not making an accusation. We want to know whether there were 29 chota-mota, big, small snags. We're not pilots. We don't know whether this is big. But we did ask whether there was a nitrogen generation system issue reported on 3 specific dates. We did ask whether there were repeated issues flagged on the ICAS, which is Engineering Indicating Crew Alerting System, on May 22nd, May 26th, and June 1st. Now, is this a small thing? I don't know. You tell me. Is it a small thing? Group Captain Augustine Vinod, is it a small thing? Are these minor things?
Not, and as I can read from what you're saying, Arnab, you seem to be completely in a picture of the entire history. So with that as the background, I am taking this particular thought process forward, and I'm completely with Air Marshal where he is talking about the repeat snags. Now, let me also add something to what Air Marshal said. See, in my opinion, even a small minor snag needs to be, it's like a headache. So the headache could be a small minor headache, or it could be a tumor in your head. So everything needs to be, especially in aviation, everything needs to be approached with that kind of seriousness, firstly. And most importantly, something related, say, to an engine can lead to an engine trouble, because...
No, I'm asking, I'm not saying they're related. See, my point here is, I'm not saying you're related. I just want to know, I'm not sure whether it is appropriate for Air India to say what they are saying. What are they saying, Shawan, in their reply to our very specific questions, to our email?
Well, in fact, our questionnaire was pertaining to certain data that we have basically obtained. This is about the aircraft itself and multiple technical snags that were reported during a specified period. And importantly, we have also put out details of the fact that the same aircraft had undergone line checks. Now, let me just explain what this line check that we're talking about. The aircraft takes a particular route. Once it reaches a destination, a line check is essentially done, and thereafter a technical snag, if at all it is reported, there is a replacement process to it. Now, what we asked was this, that is it true that there have been 29 technical snags that have been reported from this particular aircraft? Now, this is what they say. Air India says, and I'm quoting, the issues and details that are sought are related to an ongoing investigation, and hence Air India will not be able to make any specific comment or confirm any of the said data. It is relevant to mention that an aircraft undergoes multiple engineering checks before it is cleared for flight operations according to top priority to safety issues. Now, the question here is that in just 3 days, perhaps aviation experts can weigh in. 26th of May itself, there is one with regards to the auto brake. Within 2 days, similar sort of technical snag is reported. Another auto brake technical snag is reported. And there is a third. So there is a pattern of an auto brake technical snag that has been reported in just 3 days. I'm putting out the dates too. We are given to understand it's on the 6th of May, and then on 13th of May, and then on 18th of May. To which they say there have been rectifications that have been done, but the fact of the matter is there are multiple patterns that are basically emerging from this data, which Air India says that they are not going to comment because this is part of an investigation, ongoing investigation that is being done by BCAS.
So we are asking how many snags there were in a 35-day period, right? By the way, it's not 29 days, 35 snags, it's 35 days, 29 snags. And our question really, our top bite is how many snags. Now, we are told that it's a standard industry practice that engineering teams release aircraft for flying under the minimum equipment list that have different categories. MEL is a document from the manufacturer approved by the regulator, DGCA. In case of a particular aircraft, the applicable minimum equipment list has to be first presented to a pilot who is trained to understand the nature of the findings and decide whether they are comfortable to operate the aircraft. Okay. In a way, they are trying to answer our question, but they are not. All I want to know from Air India, if they say to us, your information is incorrect. There have not been any of these reports. Your report about 29, your question regarding 29 separate snags reported between May 2nd and June 2nd, 2025 for the aircraft VT A and B operating AI-171. If they say this question is based on false information, I will convey that. But they have not said that either now, Vipul. They are neither saying this nor that. They can tell us whether the questions are correct or incorrect based upon their information. They should say, if the information is incorrect, they should say there aren't these many snags. What they are saying is that any aircraft undergoes multiple engineering checks before it is cleared for flight operations according to top priority for safety issues. Modern aircraft, including the Boeing 787, have multiple levels of redundancies built in. Duplicated, triplicated systems, depending on the criticality of the component to ensure safe operations. This basically implies that a deficiency does not necessarily mean that an aircraft cannot fly or is not airworthy. I agree. But if there are 29 deficiencies which are found in 35 days, I asked someone tonight, the question is not whether, if there are 29 such cases in 35 days, does the picture change? Captain G.P. Bajpai, does the picture change then?
Good evening to you and to all my panelists. You are right, in a short span of time, such a large number of snag is not in a good taste. But simultaneously, the repeated snag on the auto braking system has got nothing to do with the other snag because it comes into operation during landing phase of the aircraft. And it's not necessary these snags are interlinked to each other. But what is more important, it talks about the culture which is existing over there. A snag which has been rectified should not reoccur in near future. Otherwise, it becomes a repeated snag. And then the role of the flight safety of the Air India and DGCA, when they go for their audit, they should go into details how the snag was rectified, how it got repeated in such a short span of time, and how the rectification process has taken place, whether all the laid down procedures, the maintenance manuals, the spares were used or not, and or the snag has been rectified.
No, the question is, one point. The question is, the pilots are saying, the Air India is saying that, listen, we may have 29 snags or 49 snags, does not matter. It does not mean that the plane specifically cannot fly. My question is different. My question is, Captain Amit Singh, you take my question. Is it not a matter of concern that on one, if, I don't know whether it's true that this is 171, if on any airline, 171 or any airline, if there are 29 snags which are found in about a month, is it a matter of some concern? Does it raise other issues?
Like the previous panelist said, it's a cultural issue, but let me classify it. The manufacturer gives a master MEL, which means there is always a balance between production and protection. You cannot have too much production because that will lead to an accident. Too much protection means loss of revenue. So safety, the job of safety is to balance it. That is why the aircraft can be released with certain number of snags, but not too many. And they are classified as per the safety risk assessment. So manufacturer gives a document, the master MEL, based on which the DGCA
No, that's all right. See, I'm a layman question here.
Yeah.
Amit, my layman question is that if today someone were to tell you this particular plane has had 29 snags, big, small, I don't know, it may be related to auto brake, may be related to nitrogen generation system, maybe recurring issues with cargo temperature, bulk of light, it may be related to stabilizer trim, it may be related to rudder trim, it may be related to engine indicating and crew alerting systems, right? And there are all these snags that are happening over a period. I'm not talking about this plane. I'm saying, let's take a hypothetical situation, this has happened, right? Should the management of the airline or someone not thinking, why is it happening? Isn't it too much? 29 cases in 35 days, this is not good. Is that not a right thing to ask commonsensically? And now
that is an obvious question.
Then why is it? Cultural means what? When you say cultural means what?
Means there is a tendency to continue acceptable, which means this is acceptable to the management.
Correct.
And,
that's the point. That means it's acceptable to the management. Now, Shravan and Harsha, what else is Air India saying to us?
Well,
Harsha can tell us. Yeah.
Well, in fact, Arnab, we spoke to about 6 pilots who have operated in Air India. And in fact, all of them, we've gone through each of these technical snags. And what they had to say is about the repeated problem, the repeated technical snags and the pattern that is emerging. Harsha, if you can just quickly tell us, one, the Air India's response with regards to the technical snag, and they are essentially resorting to the MEL aspect. MEL aspect is something that we were not even focusing on.
Yeah, they said that minimum equipment listing is something which aircraft can work on till the time it is not revoked. There's a timeline, and in that particular timeline on 10th of June, whatever the minimum equipment listing was there, aircraft could be flown. That was not a major issue. This they have responded to us. And as far as we spoke to pilot regarding the issues in the technical snag, he stated that the braking system is a big issue. It's a big thing. Aircraft can't...
repeated 3 times.
That's repeated 3 times. In fact, he said that the H2U open is also a huge thing. The aircraft can't work, aircraft can't operate with this particular snag. And also he went on by saying EICAS, which is the engine indicating crew alerting system. If EICAS is there and engine is indicating something, that means some immense fault is there in the aircraft and it has to be rectified.
The thing is, Shravan, bottom line is, how many snags were reported and rectified? We're not saying the snags were not rectified. But what are we saying when we say, is there a cultural issue? Sanjay Lazar, I want you to come in on this. Say one plane, any plane, 29 snags in 35 days, big, small, right? But does it not establish a pattern somewhere? And the question then is, even if they are rectified, should the DGCA not have some system to check why there are so many snags in one aircraft over a period of time? Does that not raise some other issues? Or is the DGCA blind to this? Sanjay, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Arnab, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to just continue on what Captain Amit said. You know, the manufacturer comes out with an MEL list. Now, please hear me out on this. It is universal. It is universal across the world. It is not something that only Air India does. MEL lists are followed by all airlines. Sometimes there are no parts, or sometimes they are minimal, smaller things. Now, that being said, the 29 in 35 days does not trouble me, especially since you said they are repetitive of a particular kind. I also do not know if some of them are CDLR snags, which are cabin defect snags, you know, oven or seat light or IFE not working or temperature controls not working. But the three that your correspondent mentioned, one was ICAS, which is a serious snag. The other was the HTO fan, and the third, I think, was the air brake. Now, from what I understand from what he mentioned, I think there were three of one type. It obviously shows that they were trying to repair it, and it was coming up over and over again. So it leads us to believe whether we need to look at whether the parts.
Okay, so if someone were to tell you, Sanjay, that the ICAS system, for example, I'm not saying this plane, any plane, right? Maybe this plane, Air India should tell us if there's an ICAS problem, which is flagged on 22nd May, 26th May, and June 1st, right? For one particular plane. That means there's an engine indicating and crew alerting system issue flagged on the 22nd of May, again after 4 days, and again after 5 days. What does that mean?
It means that obviously something, you know, they've obviously rectified and it's happened again.
So what does that tell you? No, they rectified, happen again. Rectified, happen again. Rectified, happen again. 3 times in 8 days. What does that tell you?
It tells me that maybe they need to change the part or.
No, but the part change. No, one second here. Auto brake system, suppose, happens May 6th. Again, rectified, happens again May 13th. Rectified, happens again May 15th. Rectified, happen against May 18th. I'm not saying this is to do with a crash. But what does that tell you?
It just says that, you know, this aircraft has had recurring problems on a particular type of part. That I see that.
So then I'm not, so the point is, if that aircraft were to go and crash tomorrow, then would this history matter or not matter at all?
You know, that is in the realm of investigation. I'm sure the investigators from both the NTSB as well as the DGCA, the AAB will look at it very closely if these were, these recurring issues existed in the plane that crashed, and if they're relevant to the
So does this raise questions about Air India's tolerance to? No, does this raise questions about Air India management's tolerance to these cultural issues? I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other airlines, but would you say in any other airline, all aircraft would have 29 issues in 35 days or something like that?
I would not know because I've really not looked at too many other airlines, frankly.
But it's worrying here, you know, with the confidence with which Air India now says, the confidence with which Air India now says that the recent surveillance conducted on Air India, DGCA, giving almost a clean sheet here, Mr. Goyal says, recent surveillance conducted on Air India's Boeing 787 fleet does not reveal any major safety concerns. All the aircraft associated maintenance system were found to be compliant with existing safety standards. It's like a clean sheet, isn't it? I mean, government has given Air India a clean sheet, this means.
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
Yes, it has. And I believe that the DGCA would not have taken such a step, Arnab, with the NTSB and the FAA watching over it. Remember, if anything is found in this accident that pertains to the aircraft itself, it will
I just hope a completely unrelated comment that no DGCA official has taken any favors from Air India ever, including excess baggage, including their internal Air India officers writing mails saying allow 12 kilos, 30 kilos, 40 kilos, 50 kilos for a minister.
I would not be able to comment.
No, I'm just saying I hope there's no conflict of interest there, right? Because that changes the picture.
But
DGCA, would you agree with me? Would you agree with me, Subhash, that DGCA should not have a conflict of interest? A senior DGCA official going through airport. I hope Air India doesn't say, oh, give him 12 kilos more. Give him 20 kilos more. I mean, I hope there is no such system. Yes, Subhash, Goyal?
Yes, you're talking to me?
Yes, sir. What do you think?
Yeah. See, as far as the snags are concerned, I think it is a serious issue, and I'm sure, Arnab, I'm happy you're taking up this issue. But at the same time, as rightly mentioned, that not only DGCA, but the Boeing, General Electric, and also I believe some British aviation experts are in town, and they are all investigating this, because Air India is not the only airline having this. Having said that, one issue I want Arnab
So there's been a report.
up.
There's been a report in the Wall Street Journal. There's been a report in the Wall Street Journal. I don't know, which says that the emergency power generator was operating when this plane crashed. What does that mean? Does this raise questions about the engines? Can any of the pilots tell me what it means, if there is any truth in that? I'm not making an accusation again. I'm reporting what has been publicly reported. Air India, I don't know whether they have replied to that. Sir?
I think the pilot should respond.
Would any of the pilots like to respond to that, this report which has come out here? I don't know. Or will we say it's too early pending investigation? There is an article, it's been published in a global newspaper, that the emergency power generator was operating when it crashed. What would that mean? Amit ji, would you like to tell us?
Yeah, when the electrical generation has stopped, that is when the RAT deploys, or the hydraulic issue. It could be, the source could be either hydraulic failure, electrical failure, or engine failure.
So big issue.
Ultimately, that is the last backup which the aircraft has in terms of
Shravan and Harsha, is there any response from Air India to that report which came earlier today? Has Air India responded to any of those reports that came out in WSJ?
Well, in fact, there is no public statement that has been made by Air India. Just a quick question to you, Harsha, with regards to the report that has come in from Wall Street Journal, the fact that they have essentially indicated towards an engine failure. Is there any response coming in?
No response from DGCA or no response from Air India as of now. We have been asking response from Air India. We have mailed them twice or thrice since the crash happened, but no response. They are not ready to respond on the prelim report as well. AIB has also not responded on a prelim report.
Okay. Shravan, so,
there are indications, clear indications of engine failure. If you look at the debris of the engine, I can see in one of the photographs, the debris of the engine in which the blades, the turbine blades are intact. So if a engine is moving at high thrust and it meets with an accident, due to the impact, the blades are shredded or they curl in a S shape. These blades are intact, straight, which means the engine was not running at the time of impact. That is very clear from one of the photographs of the engine. I cannot see the other engine clearly. So for sure, one was at idle or was shut down. So
I would also make one request. I would make a request. I hope it's, you see, some people, we have some papers which suggest that Civil Aviation Ministry officials have sought help with some special treatment, including baggage waivers, flight rescheduling, fee exemptions to senior DGCA officers and even family members, relations of the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation. I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true. We've sent a letter, we've sent a questionnaire. But if this is happening, should it not stop? Should key DGCA officers get different levels of assistance with Air India? Should Honorable Minister for Civil Aviation get any waivers from Air India? Should there be any such facilitation is a question I would like to ask. Because I want no conflict of interest between DGCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation and Air India. I'm not sure that there is a complete sort of a wall between the two. One is a regulator and the other is an airline. I'm only asking a question. The question is, Shravan, and the question is, has at any point of time, any point of time been there any sort of over keenness to help with extra baggage, facilitation, flight rescheduling, etc. by Air India or any airline towards people from the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the DGCA?
Well, in fact, Arnab, multiple instances of how a long rope has been given to Air India by DGCA. One, there is an investigation report that has been prepared, which is a spot check that was done by the DGCA of multiple aircrafts being operated by Air India, in which Campbell Wilson has been named as an alleged offender. Correct. In that particular report, they clearly say that emergency equipments were not present when the spot checks were done. Interestingly, a 15-day time is actually given to Air India to respond to those. The fact of the matter is that this is not to do with only one type of aircraft, multiple aircrafts, the fleets that have been operated. In fact, Harsha, just a quick response on that particular report that was been prepared, and multiple such show cause notices have actually gone from DGCA.
Almost in 2 months, 15 show cause notices issued by DGCA to Air India.
15 show
None
cause
of the show cause notices have been adhered by Air India. They didn't ground their...
What was the response coming in from DGCA? Did they follow up?
No, DGCA also didn't follow up. They just sent the show cause notice, and they were also sleeping that Air India will respond in some time. They didn't follow up. They didn't pull up Air India even after the crash.
So here comes the big question. Why exactly is DGCA giving that long rope to Air India? Is there some sort of an understanding? See, what is it?
The thing is, Shawan, it's like Campbell Wilson's statement. When you ask him, Mr. Wilson, your airline was a frightful mess. You don't know how to run an airline. We have letters to show that you have been named as the guilty party by DGCA in letters and show cause notices as recently as the 6th of June. In his ridiculous highbrow style, he tries to say these matters have nothing to do with the crash. Well, in a way they don't, but in a way they do. Because the fact of the matter is that you got a long rope. Serious issues, emergency system not working on planes, all documented. Campbell Wilson, guilty party, 15 days to respond. In the interim of the 15 days, an Air India plane crashes. Campbell Wilson and Air India say, well, question you're asking has nothing to do with the crash. But then the question we're asking is about the cultural system operating within Air India, how this airline runs. And they're trying to go hyper-technical on us. If I open the phone lines right now, Air India will realize how people think. And there is a cultural system, and the Tata Group must answer to it. Yes, Vipul has been quiet for a while. Vipul.
So Arnab, I would need some time to cover a couple of points which I've been desperately waiting to share. One is that MEL is totally different thing, and it is a legal thing allowed by the manufacturer, and it does not compromise the safety of the aircraft, or I would say operationality of the aircraft. Coming to snags, there is no snag which is small. Every snag which is coming on record has to be rectified. Now, there are two type of things. One is quick fix rectification, and other is root cause analysis. Okay, ideally, as per the best practices, every snag or every defect which is coming on record, there should be root cause analysis should be done. And I think that culture does not exist in Air India. That is why systems like auto brake and auto system repeated, or ICAS, repeated snags are coming on record. So it shows that the cultural issues. Next thing I would like to cover is that in the last discussion, I had raised one issue about culture. I was coming to culture only. That when you pick and choose, because all these things, culture comes from the top management. If the top management people are ethical, they don't compromise with the system and process. Culture will set in the organization the way leader sets in. And the pick and choose, yes, a private company can pick up anybody for the role. But they pick up people who are manipulators, who conceal things, who circumvent the laws and the SOPs. I think that's dangerous. And that is what is happening in most of the airline operations. That is why you never find a chief of engineering vacancy coming in the market, chief of flight safety coming in the market, quality control manager coming in the market. And
no, Vipul, my question is today, what is my question? Viewers, you tell me if my question is correct. I am asking tonight, Vipul, that in the plane that crashed, of the visuals that you see, and this is the question media in this country should ask, media should not sit there and do these ridiculous PR interviews. Media should ask, in this plane that crashed, how many snags were there in the last 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months? Media should also do that job to find out. Then Air India can say, okay, there were these many, but we still felt the plane would not have crashed. It was not in any danger. But Air India is saying that just because there were deficiencies does not mean the plane can't fly. Of course. But then the question I am asking is, layman question, 29 deficiencies? Isn't it a bit too much? 29 times, even if they are repeat?
Something different. No. Deficiency means MEL is something.
I want any pilot to come and tell me no big deal. I want disclosure. I don't want them to tell me ongoing investigation can't comment. My question I'm asking and the answer you can give me on that, in my view, Amit, has nothing to do with the ongoing investigation. Your ongoing investigation is on the circumstances of the crash. In fact, Air India is contradicting itself. It is saying the questions you are asking or the snags reported and rectified have nothing to do with the crash. In that case, you must answer my question rather than use the ongoing investigation route to avoid a specific reply to my very specific question. Whatever they say, Amit, if they say all of this information is incorrect, I will reproduce it. I'll say, yeah, Air India denies any snags. You can't just say...
So if a pilot refuses an aircraft because of a snag, there is a likelihood that he can be fired. There have been pilots who have been fired without a show cause.
Why?
Because they refused to operate a flight which was unsafe. And there's another
but isn't that a pilot's right? Because look here, look here what they say. In the case of a particular aircraft, the applicable MEL, which is minimum equipment list, has to be first presented to a pilot who is trained to understand the nature of the findings and decide if they are comfortable to operate the aircraft. So Air India is saying the pilot has full right to say no.
Pilot is the final authority to decide the safety of the aircraft. But like I was saying, there was a system. They had leased certain aircrafts which had a lesser number of oxygen supply. And they were flying over routes with high mountains. So a pilot refused that. He was fired without a show cause. Now he's fighting a legal case in the High Court, and the High Court has ordered the DGCA to conduct an inquiry into that. Another pilot raised or wrote to the management about key issues in the training, pilot training, and how safety is affected. Again, he was fired without a show cause.
I am asking,
so
how many times?
If the pilot, the paper gives the pilot
Let's put
the
a graphic
right,
out of that. How many, whether this question is relevant or not, whether Arnab Goswami is asking the right question or not, but I will not have it every night for people to say, can you run an airline? Have you flown an Airbus? Are you a qualified pilot? Who are you to ask? Well, I'm a journalist. And what is the question I'm asking? I am asking a question that in this plane that crashed, everyone on, in this specific plane that crashed, Harsha's report, Shawan's report, right? What is the question we are asking, Shawan and Harsha? What is the question? We are asking, I'm not saying these snags led to the crash, but can you kindly tell me that in this plane that crashed, how many snags were reported and or reported/rectified for a 35-day period before the 6th of June?
Well, in fact...
That is my limited question. Shawan and Harsha.
Well, in fact, there are 6 questions that we had asked Air India, and they were all pertaining to the number of technical snags. We have said that between 2nd of May and 6th of June, a record of snags have been reported. We have asked specifically that is it correct that 29 separate snags were reported between 2nd of May and 6th of June 2025. In fact, 2 snags that were reported just days before this aircraft crashed. Is it true that issues related to the nitrogen generation system were reported on 3 separate dates, 1st of June, 2nd of June and 6th of June? Then we asked them about the cargo temperature bulk of flight. This was another technical snag reported on 2nd of May, 3rd of May and 13th of May and 4th of June. Then we asked about the stabilizer trim and rudder trim snag reported on 29th of May. We also asked about the engine indicating and crew alerting system on 26th and 22nd of May. Just a quick point here. We've actually spoken to pilots who have flown aircrafts of Air India. We have gone through each of the technical snags, asking them that whether at all this is a cause of concern. They say that if it is repeated, then it could be a cause of concern.
You see, this is the question that you must ask. Now the problem is, you can appear very emotional, Air India, you can do all the crying and all that, but the fact of the matter is the Air India management will answer my question. The questions I am asking are the people they want Chandrasekharan to answer. He's answering, he should answer. Air Vice Marshal Srivastav, you see, this airline has crashed. 271 people have died. I want to know everything about what was going on with this plane for 45-day period before it crashed. I want to know how many times Air India got show cause notices. Captain Augustine, people are in a bit of a, like, should I open? Let's open the lines. A lot of people calling tonight to my question. I also want to know whether DGCA will tell us what its response to these situations. Are you saying DGCA has no responsibility here? Captain Augustine, tell me, does DGCA have nothing to do with it? Suppose one plane has 100 snags reported in 2 months, all rectified. Does DGCA have nothing to do with it? Sanjay, Lazar, does DGCA have nothing to do with it? It's the airline's problem.
Not at all. Arnab, I just want to point out the questions that your journalist Shravan has been asking Air India. I do concede and I agree with Air India that they cannot answer because it is now an accident investigation. All records past and present will be sealed. Captain Amit can bear me out on that. You can't open it because now there are multilateral agencies.
No, but
you have the NTSB,
Sanjay, Air India is saying that this does not have anything to do with the crash. So why can't they tell us?
They should have actually replied to you that these records are now part of the Accident Investigation Board and I cannot discuss. The other point
no,
you
they have
raised
said
about
the issues
DGCA,
and details sought by Republic are related to an ongoing investigation and hence Air India will not be able to make any specific comment or confirm any of the said data. But they go on to say, however, aircraft goes to multiple checks before it is cleared. Modern aircraft have multiple redundancies built in, which means that a deficiency does not mean the plane cannot fly. But what am I asking? One minute. What am I asking? I am asking, Sanjay, were there 29 snags reported and rectified?
He cannot answer you. Why are you? It's like somebody who's in jail.
No, he cannot answer me. He cannot answer me.
Trial.
Civil Aviation Ministry cannot answer me. Nobody can answer me.
Nobody can.
So nobody in the country has a right to know whether this plane was having any recurring issues.
Then your correspondents have failed to understand what the law is.
Sanjay, you throw the law at me. You are throwing the law at me. Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. But I ask you a question. Okay, now listen to me. Okay, fine. I want to know not only about this plane. I want to know all the planes in our country. I want to know, don't civil aviation authorities, airlines have data on how many snags are reported in these planes or any planes over a period? We're told these planes are beautiful, they'll never crash, right? There are multiple redundancies thrown in. Even now this language is being thrown at me. That's fine. But is my question not valid, Captain Augustine? Is this not the question everybody in the country would ask? At some level, this is the question, right? Suppose you take a plane, you take a car, you go to a Formula 1 track with a car and you try to drive it at 200, 300, 400 kilometers an hour. And later it's found that that particular car was having multiple snags in its engine, wheels, balance, everything. Would you not be risking your life in flying that car? You can say each time the car was rectified. Would you buy that car? Would you use that car? Would you travel on that car?
See, Arnab, quickly let me cover two aspects. First and foremost, the interest of the people is represented here by the fourth pillar. And I do not see any other pillar asking this question other than the fourth pillar, who's asking the relevant question and getting the relevant answer, firstly. And secondly, and most important is, there are certain systemic things that one could learn from another organization. Let me tell you, this organization is Indian Air Force. The third snag, repeated snag, the aeroplane is grounded. A court of inquiry is ordered.
So why should the standards be different for a civil aviation, a plane that flies 250 to 300 people and a fighter jet? Why would it be different?
You cannot fly that aeroplane if that...
No, I know. Many Air Force people have told me that. But why should the standards be different? Air Vice Marshal Srivastava? Should higher standards, exacting standards not apply?
I want to come in, Arnab. I want to expand on what Augustine has said, because the faults which are there or snags which are there, aircraft is snagged for RT unserviceable also,
how much time do I have?
To entertainment system not working. So we need to we need to classify whether it's flight critical or not. So I don't know 29 snags, were they flight critical or otherwise. But what Augustine is saying, what worries me really, if there is a repeat snag, why there was not a due diligence done?
Even now I'm asking,
quality people are involved, systemic.
DGCA has given a clean sheet now. We are operating in a different environment. DGCA says everything fine. They've said, Vice Marshal, everything's fine, no problem.
Mike, why not copy what one organization
We
is
can't
doing
say
well
that. And
in
for
another
repeat snacks,
organization?
that's a very serious issue.
Okay, Ananda is calling from Mumbai. Ananda, what do you think?
Hello, sir. My condolences to the unfortunate incident that has happened. And I would like to ask a basic question. See, I'm also from an engineering field. I'm an electrical engineer. I just wanted to know कि after एक basic question है कि इतना flying hours का एक complete हो जाएगा एक flight का या एक plane का, तो उसमें preventive maintenance checks होते हैं regular कि इतने flying hours के बाद ये checks होने चाहिए. तो जो flight जो plane का incident हुआ जो crash हुआ उसके preventive maintenance की history डाटा last 6 महीने के या 3 महीने के क्या उन्होंने रिकॉर्ड किए थे और
This is in a way the history only, of the plane, Ananda ji. And I have, this is a good question you asked. Rajiv from Pune. Rajiv, what do you think?
Good evening, Arnab. Good evening, panelist.
Thank you.
It's really commendable. When I hear your news, Arnab, it really kind of enriches everybody's knowledge here.
Thank you.
My simple question, which you have been pointing out, is specifically to this aircraft, if there are multiple repeated snags, they say it has happened over a period of this number of days, and they have rectified, it seems they have rectified them, then why doesn't the DGCA kind of ground that aircraft pending the complete audit process?
See, if it is the plane which has crashed. Now, I don't know what DGCA's role is here out here. But DGCA seems to have just come and given a clean sheet. They are saying, Rajiv, no problem.
I'm just coming to on. If DGCA has given the long rope to, let's say, to this Air India, then what is the Ministry of Civil Aviation doing?
I don't know what the Ministry of Civil Aviation is doing, and I really hope the Ministry of Civil Aviation has never taken excess baggage clearances for any members of DGCA. I hope the Ministry, and there's not small matters, because that is also a cultural issue. If there are mails going on between DGCA, Civil Aviation Ministry and Air India requesting waiver for any bags, excess baggage, that's a bad thing. The Civil Aviation Minister must talk to me and tell me. Nikhil from Udaipur. Nikhil.
Hello.
Yes, Nikhil.
Yes, hi, good evening. Pleasure to speak to you, Arnav. I've been trying to talk to you for a while, and I appreciate all that you do for the country and the people. And you're the voice of 140 crores.
Thank you, sir.
Now, regarding this issue, it's not the first time we've dealt with Air India. And their Dreamliners in the past were flying with crews removed and stuff like that. So there has to be some conflict of interest between the DGCA, the ministry, and Air India. So this needs to be investigated independently, away from the government. And something has to come out of this. Like in January when the Boeing crashed in Seattle due to the popping door, all the fleet was grounded. The entire 787 Dreamliner fleet of Air India should be grounded until it is certified safe to fly independently.
I think your question is very valid. Viewers are asking, does the DGCA have a conflict of interest? And, however much people may try to cover it up, these are the kind of questions which are relevant. One last caller is from Chandigarh. Ishan is calling. Ishan.
Hello, Arnab.
Hi.
Thanks a lot for taking up the call.
Thank you.
And fantastic reporting. By the way, I'm seeing other news channels as well. I think they have forgotten this issue. But you are raising up this. It's a fantastic job. So from my end, I just want to point out that why always in India we believe this chalta hai attitude, right?
Correct.
If there are so many snags, if it has been already taken care or if it was already bringing notice of DGCA, why the plane was not grounded before? That is number one. Why we always wait for something big to happen? That's a very big question. And not only with flights, even with train accidents, even with full collapses, why there is a chalta attitude in India?
I think this is a moment to test it. We need to push the envelope, both with the group, the airlines, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation. I'm glad you're watching, Ishan. Your support means a lot to Republic. I thank Shawan and I thank Harsha for their fine reporting, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone here. At 9 o'clock this evening, what kind of war are we heading to between America and Israel on one side and Iran on the other? Most importantly, will the Muslim world stand with Ayatollah Khamenei or look the other way? When I'm back.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab Arnab will be right back with the debate.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।